Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. The NFL season will be here before you know it, and it is time to start running through some of the divisional future odds updates here, and we will start on the AFC East. And of course, the king of the AFC East, according to the sportsbooks this year, the New England Patriots, coming in at most books at minus 200 or a little bit less to win the division, plus 400, 4-1 to win the AFC. Of course, the Patriots news is going to be dominated by whether or not Tom Brady will actually be suspended through the first 4 games of the season. But with Jimmy Garoppolo on hand and 3 of those 4 games being at home, it might not be the end of the world even if he is suspended for those 4 games. The sportsbooks obviously don't think it's too big of a deal. Garoppolo didn't perform badly last season, and I think during the preseason that is, and I think he could have a pretty good chance to fill in well for Brady even if Brady is suspended for those first 4 games. Like I said, first game in Arizona, but after that, three straight home games for the Patriots. So not too much to be sad about, especially when you look at their offseason and the fact they brought in Martellus Bennett, Nate Washington, Terrence Knight, and Chris Long. Lots of very good and very solidly priced veteran players that could help out tremendously coming into this season. I think it's hard to see them losing this division, especially with some of the other teams that they'll be competing with here this season. The one team that looks like they could give them a run for their money, the New York Jets, but really all depends on, once again, quarterback issues. Will Ryan Fitzpatrick be able to come back and play for this team and play effectively as he did last season? The Jets have still not signed him. It's really the one big thing that they have left to do this offseason because their defense obviously still going to be very good. They brought in Matt Forte after losing out on Chris Ivory, not wishing to pay him as much money as he was offered in the offseason. So pretty good team. Maybe not quite as good as the Buffalo Bills, who we'll talk about here in a second, but at 5-1 to win the AFC East, not a bad play here if they can get back Fitzpatrick here in the fold sometime relatively soon. Now, speaking of those Buffalo Bills, they are also 5-1 to win the AFC East, 20-1 to win the AFC in general. And they're a team that I think for a lot of the NFL handicapping and fantasy community is pretty high on them this year. Tyrod Taylor could come in and play very, very well this season. Brought back Cordy Glenn, went to a huge contract, which is always going to be very good for them. They gave Charles Clay a ton of money. That's really, hit or miss on him. But Buffalo Bills are going to be very, very good. Their defense is obviously going to be very good. Their running game with LaShawn McCoy and Carlos Williams is one of the best running back duos in the entire league if both those guys stay healthy. The defense is still stacked even though they did not bring back Mario Williams. So I think that the Buffalo Bills probably a better play than the Jets at 5-1 to win the AFC East if you're going there and willing to bet against those New England Patriots. Now, finally, Miami Dolphins come in plus 650 to win the AFC East, plus 2,500 to win the AFC. They're like that little cousin that can't get their shit together this offseason. Really not a great offseason, I think, for them. They have a lot of talent, but not a lot of wins to show for it here this season. They did make a questionable move on draft night, moving back to the 13th pick for the 8th pick to bring in Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso. Those two guys start playing like the names say they should. The Miami Dolphins made a pretty good deal there, but they're pretty bad in the secondary last season. Maxwell might not improve that too much after a pretty poor season in Philadelphia, and they're also going to try to lean heavily on young running back Jay Ajayi, which could be very, very questionable. I like their passing attack. Their running attack and their defense still could be a little bit questionable, though, too, so that's probably why the Miami Dolphins come in as the last-place odds team here in the AFC East. But that'll do it for me this time. Make sure you check out my other divisional previews coming out later. We'll look at the AFC West as well as the rest of the AFC divisions later this weekend, and, of course, saving next week to the NFC. But until then, for Sportsbook Review, I'm Jordan Sharp.
Always on the go? Bet365 has one of the top mobile platforms in today's market. Sign up today and don't let your busy life keep you out of the game.